This is Orlando Sentinel Now.
Hello and welcome. It's Thursday, November 4th, and this is Orlando Sentinel Now. Today, we're talking about a possible slowdown in the housing market. Also, we've got a Florida Fresh Air feature for you and what's going on in high school football. I'm your host, Joe Mario Pedersen, and joining me today, I have real estate reporter Trevor Frazier, Things to Do reporter Patrick Connolly, and high school sports reporter JC Carnahan. Thank you all so much for being here. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. Trevor, coming to you first for one of your latest headlines. Zillow to stop buying homes, signaling possible slowdown in housing market. Now, addressing one thing at a time here. Zillow announcing that it's stopped buying and selling homes. Why have they announced this?
So Zillow has the service Zillow Offers, or has had the service Zillow Offers for a couple of years now. They didn't start doing it in Orlando until 2019. And it was based on the idea that they could accurately guess how much a house was worth, and therefore they could buy it if somebody wanted to put it on the market and then sell it for a profit. Basically, that they became house flipping investors, essentially, just a very large scale house flipping investor. But what they determined, what they said in their earnings report on Tuesday, was that they had basically not been able to anticipate how volatile housing prices would be, and that they were losing more money on the houses that they bought than they were making on them. In the last quarter, they recorded a $422 million loss on just their homes division on Zillow offers there. The numbers just weren't aligning. The ability to actually pick which houses we're going to be able to flip and so on. Just when you do it on that large a scale, it wasn't actually proving to work out for them. Now, it should be noted that there are other iBuyers, OfferPad, Open Door, Redfin Now, and they're all still seem to be going, but whether announcements like this are going to be coming from those companies, we don't know. But there is another reason that Zillow might be stopping this. Again, they obviously were having problems with their algorithm and the ability to get the Zestimate, as close to what they wanted. But the other reason is, according to an economist that I spoke to, we might be at the peak of the housing market right now. We might have hit the top of that. And of course, buying at the top of the market means that you're just going to lose money on everything as the market goes down. So it might be that they're stopping doing this because they don't want to be buying at the top of the housing market.
So, Trevor, with Zillow being a big company, let's localize this a bit. How many houses does Zillow have in the Central Florida area that it was selling or planning on selling?
So, like I said, Zillow started buying houses in Orlando in 2019, and they said that currently they have about 100 houses in the area that are going to be on sale, and there are probably some more because there are some that they've bought that haven't hit the market yet. They're still getting fixed up. They're still getting ready to hit the market. So there will be more. They said it'll take a couple quarters to actually wind this process down. They just have, too much inventory for that. So they weren't a huge part of our market. They weren't, some massive percentage. I think that if I'm recalling this from another story, but I believe that iBuying accounted for something like 3% of the buying in the area. So it's not like that's the biggest thing. It's growing. It's a sector that was 0 6 years ago and is, 3% now. So it's growing quite a bit. But yeah, it's not like they are going to take out the housing market themselves by suddenly going off the market.
So that being said, back to the economist that you spoke to and his analysis on this, on being a possible slowdown in the market. I'm wondering if that is the case, what exactly does that mean for cities like Orlando? How will that possibly affect us?
So the big thing to remember is that this is not like the 2006 2008 housing crash, that led to the Great Recession. And the biggest difference is how overpriced the homes are in most of the areas. And he pointed out that cities that got burned really badly the last time when we had the last recession, most of them seem to have learned their lesson. And while home prices are probably inflated to where they're supposed to be, for example, in Orlando, he says that home prices are about 25% over where they should be if we were just following historical data trends. he's saying that even though that's up there, 25% is still pretty over leveraged. Back in the 2000s when we had the big crash, we were over leveraged by about 70%. It was like 75% in the area. So there was a much bigger, steeper crash coming at that time. What'll probably happen here when we're looking at things like this is that there'll be a bit of a construction slowdown. You'll have people, won't want to invest in big projects or build anything out right now because they'll be worried that nobody's going to buy it. But the other thing that we have going in our favor actually is that we have quite a bit of predicted population growth, and that's not going away. So while home prices might come down, they're not going to, plummet. And while construction might slow down, it's not going to stop. We have too many people coming to the area that need places to live. And so that tends to keep the real estate market, relatively buoyant no matter what the market forces are. If population is growing, the real estate market can weather it.
Well, there you go. If you're looking for more information on that, be sure to take a look at Trevor's work for the full story at orlandosentinel.com. Trevor, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right, Patrick, coming to you next here for a Florida Fresh Air feature. And this week, we're heading out to East Orlando for Savage Christmas Creek Preserve. Can you tell us about it?
So this is a little more than 1,000 acres of protected Orange County land. And just to describe to you where it is, well, if you've never been to Christmas, it's a small town. If you head far enough east on 50, they do have a Christmas tree you can see from the road. But before you actually get there, you're heading east on 50. You kind of get past all the strip malls and some of the signs of civilization. There's a left turn. I almost missed it, but you go through this nice canopy of oak trees, past some cow pastures, and then voila, you found Savage Christmas Creek Preserve. So you set off into this kind of sandy, scrubby pine flatwoods environments. You see a lot of saw palmetto and longleaf pines. And it's kind of just a scenic walk around. Some of the trails are multi-purpose for hiking and equestrian use. Those are going to be a little bit wider, a little bit more open, but part of the Florida National Scenic Trail also runs through the preserve. That's the trail that actually runs the length of the state. So that will have you going, under some more like kind of shaded oak canopies and back in the trees a little bit more. It's also on the Great Florida Birding Trail, so you can keep an eye out for sandhill cranes, bald eagles, owls, hawks, different songbirds. You might also spot some gopher tortoises as well.
So, for anyone who's maybe hoping to hike the trail, see some of those gopher tortoises, what are some things they should know before they go?
So the preserve is open sunrise to sunset daily. Like I mentioned, it's out on Christmas, so there's a trailhead there, and there's actually another trailhead right off of 50 as well that I wasn't able to explore. But there's a few different ways to access this trail system of a little more than 7 miles, I think, is the total mileage for trails. Hiking, horseback riding. Leave your bikes or any motorized vehicles at home, though. Leash pets are allowed. And, I always say be mindful of footwear, too. I didn't encounter anything that was super wet, but there's sometimes that the red trail could be a little bit more wet. So definitely keep that in mind. Pack some water. And I found that there were maps at the trailhead, too, which should be useful also for trying to navigate the preserve. And if you're in that area, too, and especially if you're kind of an avid birder, Orlando Wetlands Park is not far from there, and that also presents a really good opportunity. I mean, I went out there. That was probably, back in the spring or like still sort of like Florida winter. There were a lot of birds there. So you could actually kind of make that a twofer if you had some time to spare. And now that it's getting cooler out, it's the season, it's actually pleasant to be outside. So yeah, go check them out.
Well, there you go. If you're feeling adventurous, you want to go check it out for yourself, be on the lookout for Patrick's Florida Fresh Air features, which come out every Friday. Patrick, thank you so much. All right, JC, I want to come over to you now to talk about high school football, week 11. Before we get into the top games, I do want to talk to you about the final football RPI rankings and playoff brackets coming out soon. What do you got for us?
Yeah, that's coming up here on Sunday. It's going to be a big day for high school football fans because Friday we've got final regular season games, and then it's going to be a couple days there for some teams to find out, hey, did we make the playoffs as a at-large wild card team or not? So Sunday at 2 p.m., those rankings and playoff brackets will be released. I will be putting that all together for the high school football fans to sift through. later that afternoon. So check it out at sentinelvarsity.com. One game, though, before we do get into the others, that may play into playoff seeding or even possible playoff bids is going to be Winter Park playing at Lake Brantley. Both of those teams missed out on district championships, and they are the two teams that they have the number 7 and number 8 seeds in their respective region. They play each other on Friday. It'll be interesting to see what the winner and loser, how that affects their standing in the playoffs. So that's one thing to look out for as we get into the final week here.
So, JC, we've got some big games coming up, including a rivalry matchup. It's very exciting. What are the biggest games that you're looking out for this week?
When I look at the schedule here in the final week of the regular season, I've got 4 games involving teams that are ranked in my Sentinel Super 16. And the one game I'll be at is going to be number 2 Edgewater playing at number 9 Boone. Now, this historical rivalry, they play for the Spirit Barrel, which is a pretty cool rivalry trophy here in Orlando. It's the 2 oldest high schools in Orlando that branched off from Orlando High way back in 1952. So always a great, fun rivalry between these 2 schools. That's the game that I'll be covering on Friday. And a couple other games to look out for as well. You've got number 12 Ocoee playing at number 3 Jones. Now, Ocoee just got beat on Tuesday by Apopka, and that cost them a district championship. So it'll be interesting to see how Ocoee can rebound, get things turned around, and potentially nudge maybe Lake Brantley from that final playoff spot. Who knows? It'll be tough. And the other game to look out for, 2 teams that missed out on district championships. You've got Orange City University traveling to Kissimmee, Osceola. I've got University number 8, Osceola number 7. This is going to be a good test for these 2 teams to play each other going into the playoffs because both of them will be on the road in the first round. So nice tune-up to kind of get the playoff starter for those 2 programs.
Be on the lookout for JC's work as that comes out Friday and this weekend. JC, thanks a lot. All right, before we all leave you today, we do want to talk about Thursday's weather presented by Premier Sotheby's International Realty. Thursday's weather is the beginning of a tumultuous weekend. Thursday will be mostly cloudy with a 10% chance of rain during the day and scattered showers. However, into the night, we're expecting widespread showers and odds shooting up to 50%. Friday, thunderstorms are prevalent at 90%, and a light rain will linger into Saturday and Sunday. Temperatures will dip into the mid-60s tonight and Friday. But as for the remaining days of the weekend, Saturday's low is forecast for 62, and Sunday could see a dip into the mid-50s going on into the start of the next work week. Very exciting there. If you're looking for more information on that, be sure to take a look at orlandosentinel.com, where, of course, you can get caught up on all the stories that we talked about here today and all the other different events that are happening in and around your area. For those of you who are subscribers to the Orlando Sentinel, thank you for supporting our work, for making stories like this possible. If you want to become a subscriber, it's easy to do so. All you need to do is visit orlandosentinel.com/subscribe. But as for OSN, that will do it for us today. A big thank you to Trevor, Patrick, and JC for keeping us filled in what's going on in our community. We'll be back again with more news tomorrow at noon. We'll see you then. Stay healthy and stay safe.
Watch Orlando Sentinel Now live every weekday at noon on our Facebook page and on orlandosentinel.com.